the AI Council. Hervé couldn't be here. We always invite him to bring the Heineken to these meetings as well. But we got 3 topics for today. I'm going to go around the table on each topic. The first topic is going to be the impact of GenAI on global procurement strategy. Second, challenges in governance with regard to these advanced technologies. And third, future trends and skills development in this new AI-enhanced era. So that's what's coming. And Bob, let me start with you. Looking at the global scale at News Corp, how do you see AI impacting your procurement strategies in the coming years? And can you share any innovative practices that might evolve with the evolution of generative AI?
Very broad question. So if you look at strategy from where we are from a News Corp perspective, as well as where a lot of companies might be, some of it can be the transformational journey of where you are from an organizational structure, what are your people, processes, and technologies, where's your roadmap internally. Then you also have the official 7-step sourcing strategy from the true procurement sourcing implementation. I'll talk a little bit about the journey where we are from transformation. And one of those steps, and it's not going to be new information, it's very multiple times before here. What are the challenges and the pinch points that you're seeing from implementing and getting in the way of you transforming your journey? Go back to the people, processes, and technology. Very common theme if you look at contracting. So I'll be dating my age a little bit, like 20 plus years ago. You used to have to be an expert in contracting. We're not seeing that level of expertise as well as some conversations I've had with my peers. How do we augment the gaps that we have in the skill set with technology? So you look at leveraging GenAI to be more efficient at leveraging our contracting processes, working with the legal team to all the information that we've had. So that's one of the aspects that we're working on. I know we're talking about Zycus now, with Merlin and Merlin Assist, and how can we leverage that to speed up our journey to help along that with people processing and technology.
Awesome, Bob. Thanks so much. And Kishore, picking up on where Bob left off, at Delta Airlines, the team mentioned earlier 100,000 employees, maybe 79,000 set up as users. And we talked a lot about Merlin Assist, and maybe you can help us share your perspectives on how you see that really being able to empower that diverse workforce that's out there on a decentralized basis.
Yeah, good question, Richard. So I'll take a little different view. I know you talked so much about iRequest, iManage, and all the things we're doing with Merlin, and I'll get to that. I'm a business leader, right, at the end of the day, and the reason we've been able to elevate our procurement organization from a tactical organization to a strategic organization, like we have seats at the table when businesses make 2025 planning, right? So we're working with them to see what are you going to do, how do I procure them. Truly, it has been based on our data. So I also lead an advanced analytics team, and what we joke about is we use AI, which is actually easy. So that's basically in Bangalore, and of course there's a team here. So we partner with the category teams and the sourcing teams to give them all the data that they need, whether it's internal, external, and market data. And it's amazing how much the data is disconnected, right? And that's why you need people to make sense out of it. Where my biggest interest, and I think it came out to be the #1 focus in the Gartner report too, is data spend analytics, right? To me, spend is not just noise data, it's operational data, flight data, consumer preference data, demand data, inventory data, and of course the external data. Today, it's a massive exercise to connect the dots. And one of the, I don't know if it's the blockchain, we talk about blockchain being school of a failure. The other thing has been big data. Right? The promise of big data gave us, it never really materialized. Right? It involved a lot of man hours, ton of money invested, but we still are always focused on how do I connect my request data to my contract data, to my project data, to my invoice data. The great thing about LLMs is you can give them sort of unstructured data, like today we have the data, and it helps us make sense out of it. Right? My biggest interest from an enterprise value creation is truly how do I connect these different data elements and make sense of it. I'm sort of tired having a whole team spending so much time connecting data, right? I want them to focus on value creation. So that's the big focus for us, Richard, has been absolutely how do we take the immense amount of data and feed into LLMs, let them learn, and now let us generate insights. So that's been my number one focus. Obviously, with Zycus specifically, we are implementing, we've implemented iRequest, iManage, iSource. iManage truly is our control tower from a portfolio standpoint that helps us understand how do each of the categories perform, right? And it's truly helped us shape our organization, right? Where do I need more people? What are the tactical things that I can outsource into lower cost centers, right? We have to even go with that. So we sort of supplanted what GenAI can do with sort of people. And we're looking at how do we make it more efficient, more predictive, take on more work. And then of the day, I think the sourcing teams wants to do, it has to be a fun function, right? The next generation wants to do fun stuff. We are great at negotiating, we love supplier engagement, we love stakeholder engagement. How do you take out the technical work? Literally, that's the number.
Perfect. For topic 2, I want to get into challenges and governance and technology with regard to Gen AI and so on. So Bob, as you align procurement processes at News Corp, what challenges have you encountered and how can Gen AI help address these? And in addition, on this theme of governance and compliance, how do you maintain compliance and governance as the technologies evolve?
So I think this is more broader than just what we're doing in this course. Similar challenges when I was at Unveils and Honeywell, so I'll talk to compliance secondary. But if you look at process and governance, one is user adoption, education. People don't necessarily want to do the wrong things. The question is, how do we make sure that people are educated and do they know what they're doing? Because very rarely in sourcing do we ever change policy. Companies never change policies, right? But then how do you get people to, I'm being sarcastic, right? How do you get everybody to understand what those policy changes are? Leveraging Gen AI as you're implementing it. Do you have the budget approved for this? Did you go through the right level of spend governance and so forth? And then once it's submitted, going through the process, having Gen AI help you proofread as it's going through this process, hey, put a gap here, so that way you can know that we're also being compliant from a process perspective. And the same thing from compliance with government regulations, just constantly changing. So if you look at greenhouse gas emissions, the UDR regulations on deforestation, there's so much changes going on. You don't even possibly be on top of that, but if you've got Gen AI doing that research, when you program and understanding what impacts you as a corporation, it can give you those red flags and highlight it. When I was in Honeywell, we had this tool called Sonar. It would monitor it this enormous globe. It would monitor stuff that's going on around the world, if there was a regulation change, or there was an earthquake, a riot, or a flood, and it would highlight that to where it may have impact on you from your sourcing perspective and supply chain. And then humans still need to get involved and do that further research, but then AI can continue to evolve like that to speed up that process. Here's where you have a real problem. Here's where you need this to go after you more. So I think that we're just getting started on that.
So Kishore, I want to segue to you. You operate this vast network at Delta of all the routes and all the city pairs that you link us all across the globe. So I know you have a keen eye towards how can AI help to manage or mitigate or maybe prevent global supply chain disruptions. How do you see AI impacting that area?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since COVID, it's amazing to me how much noise there has been around supply chain risk. Every time anything came up with supply chain issues, I'm sure you guys had to deal with it. It's like it was very convenient to go to because of, hey, our revenues are down, supply chain issues. Costs are high, supply chain issues. It's been sort of beaten down on that. So one of the things coming out of COVID, I think somebody on the previous panel mentioned about being proactive versus reactive. We realized that we were reacting to a lot of this noise. It was taking a lot of our time, resources, packaging, just being able to communicate, hey, this is an issue or this is not an issue. So one of the things we utilized today from a technology standpoint, we use an AI tool that's out there, which not only tracks all 20,000 of our suppliers, but it tracks their suppliers and their suppliers. So we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 level of tracking that gives you like what's happening in the space. So it's continuously monitoring, whether it's your Twitter feed or data sources or Equifax database. So it's the full suite of understanding that. So we have information now. But the key thing for us to understand is what is noise and what is signal. Right? This is where we were very intentional that how do I communicate, hey, what's happening with, let's say, example, Israel Hamas, right? Headline news, the board gets our risk council, which reports up to the board, wants to know, hey, what does it mean to tell them, right? So we today can take that information, but then we aggregate it with sort of our internal data sources to say, here's the exposure based on what's happening in the market, right? Most of our shipments come on the West Coast, so our exposure is limited. But taking this high-level information, news feed, and say, X number of my containers are exposed to this threat. X number of my suppliers, typically tier 2 suppliers based in Israel for technology companies, they are exposed to this, right? To be able to articulate quickly and rapidly what's happening at high level and minimizing that risk has been immense value to sort of across the level. So not everybody is reacting to everything, and we can focus and do what we need to do. So it's been truly a good combination of AI technology, but also you got to have good controls on what does it need to meet, right? That's translating.
Right, and with managing that technology, controls and governance in place as well. That's awesome. So Dawn, we've heard from both Bob and Kishore about their experiences. You also talk to procurement leaders on a broad basis across industries on a constant basis as well. And I wanted to see if you could share kind of what you've gleaned from them in terms of some best practices or advice on how to get started with AI and how to manage it going forward.
Yeah, so getting started with AI, the number one thing, and I think it was Vicky's presentation this morning that showed all the great use cases, is start off with a pilot. We just tell people, you've got to start. If you keep standing still or spinning in a circle, you'll never get anywhere. Just take a step, try a pilot, and then go back and look at it and say, what else can we do? But there are so many good use cases that are out there that have been written by some really smart folks who have actually implemented them. And so, I would still say, honest to God, 30% of our membership still says AI is still life. They have not implemented a single POC. And I'm talking about people that manage $17 trillion in international and global spend. 30%, I would say, probably have not done a POC yet. So it is our job to push them and say, you've got to get out there, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind, and your competition is going to be there before you. So first, start with a POC. And then we did a really good joint program with Zycus called Cognitive Procurement Specialization Program. They did an excellent job. We're working with them on a GenAI education program as well. And so just constantly educate your folks. They know it's real, it's here. And it's sort of like when we said AI wasn't real years ago, and then you said, oh, all those Amazon feeds, it suggests things to me, that's AI. I didn't know that. GenAI is already there as well, and we're using it in so many different ways. And so just have to get people to start doing this POC if they're going to realize that you can use it in your everyday business, and it really is being built into these tools. And then, I have to just say, because Zycus brought to us the concept of doing the AI Council, they allowed us to invite people that weren't even Zycus customers to the council. So it's not just, let's all feed their ego, it was let's get some really smart people together and talk about AI, talk about use cases, and then rank them, and then ask Zycus to do a proof of concept. And then one of the pieces they've done really generously with us recently is after they do their next education course, they're also going to be opening up a sandbox, and it'll be open to Zycus customers and non-customers to go in and play with GenAI and see that it's real and where can you use it. So if you get a chance to go to the labs that they have out here, if you don't, reach out to Zycus, because the sandbox will be open in not too long. And so they're just trying, any other member company, to say GenAI is here, it's real, let's experience it.
Third and final topic, I'm going to ask you to be forward-looking now. We're going to look into the future in terms of future trends and skills development with AI-enhanced procurement. Sure. For your part, I wanted you to give us a glimpse of what the future of procurement looks like at Delta. What GenAI use cases are you looking to implement, and how are you preparing the team to take advantage of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the reason we are all so excited here and for GenAI, it's the humanization of technology. Right? There's always been friction between a person and interacting with technology, right? Whether we are implementing Zycus, and we see that, right? There's always change management and what GenAI allows you. So let me paint a picture, right? So we are refreshing our onboard snacks, right? All the the Biscoff, the peanuts, the chips that we serve on the plane as snacks. We want to do a refresh. David on our team is the category manager for snacks, right? So hey, we tell David go do it. Also, we have a short time. We want to do it for a summer launch. David comes back to his desk. We say, you know what? Because it's a complex project, why don't we keep you on with Kristen? So David's like, whatever, right? So he comes back to his desk. The good thing is Kristen already had packaged all the spend information, the demand information, what customer preferences at the market level are. So she had already prepared a package for him. Like, hey, here's the suppliers in the space. So he was like, this is great. Why don't we go do an RFP? And Kristen is like, hey, this is great, but you can do an RFP, but here's a couple of new suppliers, diverse suppliers in the space, whose products might be used. We typically use brokers for our snacks, but why don't we do directly with suppliers? And David is like, fantastic. We launch an RFP, the RFP comes back, and Kristen is able to put it together pretty quickly and say, here are the 3 suppliers. What happens next in our space is almost like we hand it over to the business, and it takes about 3 weeks, 6 weeks for customer testing, right? We just can't launch a product. So by that time, David has moved on to a completely different